Most people believe that a comeback is about winning an argument. They think it is about scoring points, dominating the other person, or being the loudest voice in the room. They scream, they defend, and ultimately they suffer the deep humiliation of losing control. When you react with anger, you are not winning. You are submitting. You are handing the remote control of your emotions to someone else and saying, "Here, press a button and watch me dance." The Stoic knows better. The Stoic knows that true power is not found in the volume of the reply, but in the silence that sits behind it. The goal is not to defeat the other person. The goal is to remain undefeated by their chaos. Today, we are going to dismantle the fragile ego of the aggressor. We are not going to use insults. We are not going to use rage. We are going to use 5 specific phrases, philosophical tools that allow you to dismantle an insult without ever losing your dignity. When you argue, you lower yourself to their level. When you remain calm, you highlight their chaos. Here is how to sound wise, not angry. Let us begin with a fundamental truth of human psychology. Anger is rarely about you. When someone attacks you with vitriol, when they insult your character or question your worth, they are usually projecting an internal battle outward. Happy, secure, and confident people do not go around destroying others. Only those in pain feel the need to inflict pain. The average person hears an insult and thinks, "I am under attack, I must fight back." The Stoic hears an insult and thinks, "This person is suffering, I should observe." This is why the phrase, "Are you okay?" is so devastatingly effective. It is not an insult, it is a genuine inquiry into their stability. When you ask this calmly with a hint of genuine concern, you instantly shift the frame of the interaction. You move the dynamic from combatant versus combatant to doctor versus patient. Think about the physics of this interaction. They are expecting resistance. They want you to get angry so they can justify their own rage. If you yell back, you validate them. But when you ask, "Are you okay?" you seem very upset. You deny them the conflict they crave. You are holding up a mirror. You are forcing them to look at their own emotional state. By refusing to be offended, you prove that their words physically cannot reach you. You are not looking at them with fear. You are looking at them with pity. And nothing, absolutely nothing, dismantles a fragile ego faster than realizing it is being pitied rather than feared. We live in a noisy world. We are taught that we must respond immediately, that silence is a sign of weakness or stupidity. But in the realm of power dynamics, silence is the loudest sound in the room. When someone insults you, there is a frantic energy to it. They have thrown a spear and they are waiting to see if it hit. They are waiting for the grimace, the retort, the defense. Give them the void. When they finish speaking, do not answer immediately. Look at them. Maintain eye contact. Let 3 or 4 seconds pass. In that silence, their anxiety will spike. Human beings are terrified of social vacuums. They will start to wonder, did he hear me? Did I go too far? Why isn't he reacting? Their mind will race to fill the gap that you have created. Then you break the silence with a single word. Anyway, and you return to what you were doing. This combination, the void followed by the pivot, is lethal. The silence says, "I am processing your behavior." The anyway says, "Your behavior was insignificant." It signals that their words carried 0 weight. They did not shake your foundation. They did not alter your mood. You are treating their outburst like a passing car alarm, annoying perhaps, but ultimately irrelevant to the trajectory of your day. The wise are comfortable in the void. They do not rush to speak because they know their value is not determined by how quickly they defend it. By stepping over their insult and moving on, you leave them alone with their anger, and there is no lonelier place to be. Why do we argue? If we look deeply at our own motivations, we argue because we crave validation. We need the other person to agree with us so that we can feel correct. We are fighting for reality dominance. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, taught us the dichotomy of control. There are things we control, our actions, our thoughts, and things we do not control, the opinions of others. When you try to force someone to change their mind, you are trying to control the uncontrollable. This creates friction, it creates heat, it exhausts you. The comeback: you are allowed to think that. This is the act of radical acceptance. It is the verbal equivalent of dropping the rope in a game of tug-of-war. When you say this, you are declaring your sovereignty. You are saying, "My truth does not require your signature." Imagine the shock this causes. The aggressor is ready for a battle. They have their arguments lined up. They are ready to attack your logic, and you simply say, "You are allowed to think that." You have removed the friction. You have granted them permission to be wrong. This is not submission, it is elevation. You are acknowledging that their opinion is just that, an opinion. It is not a fact, it is not a verdict. It is just a thought existing in their head, and you are gracious enough to let it stay there. You do not need to convert them to respect yourself. By granting them the right to dislike you or misunderstand you, you become untouchable. You prove that your self-image is generated internally, not externally. Sometimes passivity is not the answer. Sometimes you must confront disrespect, but you must do it without becoming the monster you are fighting. This comeback is about precision. It is a surgical strike against bad behavior. When someone is rude, they are often operating on autopilot. They are reacting to stress or habit or insecurity. They are not thinking, they are emoting. By asking, "Did you mean to be that rude or did it just come out wrong?" you force them to engage their frontal cortex. You force them to analyze their own behavior. Notice the structure of the question. You are offering them two choices. Option A: they admit they are being intentionally malicious. Option B: they admit they lost control and made a mistake. This puts them in a double bind. If they choose option A, they expose themselves as a villain. If they choose option B, they are forced to apologize or backpedal. You are not attacking them, you are analyzing them. You are framing yourself as the calm observer who is trying to help them communicate better. This phrase also highlights a key Stoic virtue: truth. You are calling the thing by its name. You are identifying the rudeness not as a hurt feeling, but as an objective fact. You are saying, "I see what you are doing, do you?" It forces them to either double down, which isolates them, or fix their tone. Either way, you remain the adult in the room. Anger is a performance. Think about a toddler throwing a tantrum. They scream, they kick, they cry. But what happens if the parent leaves the room? The child stops. Why? Because the performance requires an audience. Adults are no different. When someone tries to drag you into a fight, they are inviting you to participate in their drama. They want you to play a role. They want you to be the victim or the villain or the fellow screamer. The ultimate Stoic move is to refuse the role. "I'm afraid I'm not the audience for this." This phrase is elegant in its finality. It implies that their anger is a show, a fiction, and you simply didn't buy a ticket. You are not saying they are wrong, you are saying they are boring. You are saying that this frequency of communication is below your pay grade. This is about boundaries. Stoicism is not about being a doormat. It is about protecting your inner fortress. If someone is throwing garbage at the gates of your mind, you do not have to stand there and catch it. You can close the gate by stating you are not the audience. You walk away not as a victim running from a fight, but as a critic who has lost interest. You prioritize your peace over their chaos. You treat their outburst like a bad movie. You simply walk out. Using these phrases isn't about being savage or owning people on the internet. It is about something much more valuable. It is about preserving your energy. Every time you refuse to argue, every time you refuse to defend yourself against a baseless accusation, you are buying back a piece of your own freedom. You are reclaiming the energy that most people burn in the fires of unnecessary conflict. The world is full of noise. It is full of people who are lost, angry, and desperate to be heard. If you stop to fight every single one of them, you will never reach your destination. As the great emperor Marcus Aurelius wrote in his personal journals, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When you fight fire with fire, you just burn the whole house down. But when you fight fire with water, you cleanse the room. Be the rock that the waves break against, not the water that gets tossed around. Stand firm, speak less, and when you do speak, make sure your words carry the weight of wisdom, not the heat of anger. If you want more content on Stoic power, psychological mastery, and emotional dominance, subscribe to Truth Psyche. Join the people who choose clarity over chaos.